welcome to the Intuitively Wild podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Levine. Living intuitively wild is about coming back home to ourselves. Here we talk about how to live connected to ourselves, others, and nature, and make a commitment to radical authenticity, vulnerability, and acceptance. On this podcast, we delve into a wide range of topics that span the human experience. We peel back the layers and talk about the things that are often not talked about. This is a space for us all to walk and wander this path of life together. Let's dig into our roots and go deep. Hello, and welcome back to this week's episode of Intuitively Wild, the podcast. I'm so happy to be back with you guys again. And this podcast I wanted to talk about is something that has really impacted my life and is a way that I orient myself every day. And it is the concept of a life worth living. So in this week's episode, we are going to go into what a life worth living means, what it is, how to create one for yourself, the importance of having a vision of your life worth living, and tips to help you discover what that is for you and how to work towards it every day. So I first heard about life worth living working with one of my past therapists. I was in between my treatment stays, working with my outpatient therapist and having a really hard time. And she said to me, "What is your life worth living? You need to get clear on the vision of your life worth living." And that really hit me, and that really changed a lot for me. She said, you need to have a vision of what you're working towards. You need to believe that the reasons you are stepping towards recovery is for a better future than what your eating disorder holds. You need to believe that you're working towards something that's more fulfilling and promising and satisfying than your eating disorder, because otherwise you're going to keep going back to it. And this is not just for an eating disorder or for recovery. This is if you are trying to break a habit, trying to shift out of autopilot mode, just trying to live a more fulfilled, alive life that leaves you proud, that leaves you excited, that leaves you at peace with your life. We need to believe that taking the action, making the change, working towards something is going to lead us to something better than what we're leaving behind. Because otherwise, our brain will take the path already settled and will continue to fall into those habits and behaviors and life patterns that are already deeply ingrained in us. And once this concept was brought to my attention, I started to realize how true this was. When I was back in treatment, I would look around me and even connecting with people who I knew in the space or otherwise, I started to realize that the ones who kept relapsing or the ones who had low motivation to recover truly believed that their life on the other side of recovery would be worse or would hold no meaning. And same with friends or people in my life who were struggling to make changes that they really needed or wanted to make. They didn't have the sense of purpose. They didn't really think that the change would be satisfying or would be lasting or that they could actually achieve it. They didn't believe that they were capable of it. So that's why having that vision of our life worth living is so important. And it's different for every single person. We all have different lives that we're here to live. So we have to get clear on what our life worth living is. And if we don't really feel that, if you're trying to pursue someone else's life worth living, it's not going to get you very far because you're ultimately not going to care enough or want it enough to keep moving forward. And furthermore on this, I was talking to my current therapist recently about the different steps of recovery and those being safety, connection, and meaning making. And you definitely need safety first, because you need to have a sense of safety in your body and your well-being and your mind. But once that's established, to continue moving forward, you need to have a sense of meaning. You need to make meaning out of what has happened, where you're going, and your life in general. Without these key ingredients, our addictions, our bad habits, our mundane autopilot lives will seem tempting to continue to fall into. When we gain clarity that life can look different, that life can be magic, we start to move toward a new way of being and have the motivation and desire to keep moving forward towards it. I'm very passionate about talking about the topic of connection, but in this episode, we're going to focus on meaning making. I recently finished the book A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl, and I highly recommend it if you haven't read it. He's a Holocaust survivor, and he speaks to this point as well. The people he noticed continuing to survive despite all odds were the people who had made some sort of meaning out of their situation and held some sort of hope for the future. He started to notice that once someone lost all hope and all sense of meaning and purpose and all loss of faith in life, they let go pretty quickly. They were gone pretty quickly. And the people who really held out and believed that their family was still alive and waiting for them, or something was going to happen, they were the ones who continued to hold on. And I think that this really shows the importance and impact of having the vision of your life worth living when you're struggling and working towards that. So in these examples, a life worth living is your vision and hope for a better future. It is what you know is meant for you. It's this vision when you tune out the noise and put aside what you are told you should be or should do, and get rid of your fears and your anxieties, and are able to tune in and create your unique vision for your life. This is not only for hard times and when you're struggling. This is also when you just feel like you can up level, when your life's going really great, but you want to expand more or call something in and you feel like it's not possible. How can you get clear on what that is and really believe that it is possible for you? So this brings us to creating your life worth living. And this will work differently for everyone. Everyone has a different way to get in tune with their intuition and get clear on their visions. But you want to really feel into what your life worth living is. So this could mean journaling. This could mean meditating. This could mean a vision board. This could just be jotting down some notes or just thinking to yourself, what do I want? It's different for everyone. But get clear on what your life worth living is. Journal about it, visualize it, meditate on it, talk about it, draw it, create it somehow. With that being said, some people are specific manifestors and some people are non-specific manifestors. And some people are very visual. Some people are all about the feeling. Some people are all about the touch. So learn how that works for you. And this is shown in your human design chart. For example, if you look at the bottom right arrow on your human design chart, if it's facing left, that speaks to you being a specific manifestor. And if it points right, that speaks to you being a non-specific manifestor. So that could help you as well. And in your human design chart, it will tell you if your strongest sense is smell or feel or outer vision or inner vision, for example. So that could help you tune into how this can show up for you and how you can best visualize and get clear on your life worth living. There is no way to do this wrong. It's about what feels right for you and what leaves you feeling impacted. I knew that I had gotten to my life worth living when I felt it in my bones, when I was like, this is the life I am meant to live, and this is what I need to work towards. And I felt it so strongly that it pushed me forward every day. Truly, the thing that got me through treatment was the feeling and the belief of my life worth living. We had to make a rock to bring to the table with us when we were in treatment. And I wrote on mine, do it for your life worth living. And a piece of my life worth living was having my own business that would impact and help others. And I got really clear on specifics of how this would look and feel for me. The feeling was the most important part for me. I knew how I wanted to feel, and I held on to that. And whenever I was so caught up in doubt and overwhelm and anxiety, I would be like, what is leading me towards my life worth living? What is leading me towards that feeling and that vision and that goal? And that can be also another way to connect and strengthen your intuition. Because if you're feeling doubt or caught up in all the thoughts and past ways of being, you can just ask yourself, well, what's leading me towards my life worth living? Which decision will bring me in that direction? And that usually will help you realize what your intuition is telling you. Because when we give ourselves the space to dream and imagine what our life could be like if we could make any wish without any limitations and really get clear on that, that can show us our intuition. That can show us the truth of who we are and what we want. So we want to give ourselves the freedom to dream and get clear on our life worth living without holding ourselves back. Even something crazy and so unrealistic that may come up, write it down or think about it, because it could be pointing you towards something that is realistic and is really meant for you. Or maybe your dream isn't unrealistic at all, and you just need to give yourself the space to believe it's possible for you. There are so many things that we think are off limits for us and get jealous or frustrated that someone else can have, but not us. But if you want it, it's meant for you to some capacity, and genuinely want it, not from an ego place or a mental place, but from a true, deep, core heart want. And again, that's why you need to get clear on how to get clear about that for you and really create the space and time for that clarity. Maybe that does mean creating a whole ritual around this, or really getting intentional and creating a sacred space and a whole journal about your life worth living, or a whole time period where you think about it. But opening up that freedom in your mind to dream and to make your dreams on limits for you. Make it fun. And sometimes just having this vision and this belief in it is enough to drive you forward and make changes. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes there are doubts and fears and obstacles in the way. So once you get clear on your life worth living, you have to also get clear on what makes you believe that you can't achieve it. You have to write down all your blocks so that you can take steps to prove that this is possible for you. So find what's standing in your way. Maybe you want to find others who have what you want and who show you that you can have it too. Or you can work with a therapist and work on healing that needs to be done. You can talk to a friend. You can start working with someone. Learn what is standing in your way. And if no one's heard of To Be Magnetic and the Expanded podcast, it's a whole manifestation program, and they really go into this and removing these blocks and obstacles that stand in our way from manifesting what we desire and believing that we are worthy of it. So I would look into that if you're interested. But simply having that unwavering trust and belief in your intuition and what is meant for you and what your life worth living is will get you so far. So for my example with recovery, there were so many times I felt I could not make it past that stage of recovery I was in. And I had to, after I got my life worth living, I had to remove the obstacles that were in my way. And of course, that started with treatment, and that started with therapy and talking about it and meditating and working on my shame and my self-doubt and all those things. And then I started to find other people who were either fully recovered or far along in the recovery process, who were doing things I wanted to be doing or showing me that they could live a fulfilled, happy life and be recovered. And that really helped me as well. And same with finding people who maybe had recovered or weren't in recovery at all, but just people who were really making an impact and helping a lot of people who maybe started from scratch as well or didn't have a big following online. And just these people who showed me that if they could do it, I can do it. And then the next step and the most important piece is believing in yourself and believing in your vision, because you can do all the self-work and all the healing and all the growth and find all the people out there doing it. But if you don't actually believe that you can do it, if you don't believe in yourself, and if you don't think that it's possible, it's going to be really hard for you to move forward. And steps 2 and 3 go hand in hand and can happen simultaneously. I worked really hard and continue to work really hard on removing blocks, on recovering, on working on my anxiety. And as I do so, I believe in my vision more. I believe in myself more. I am able to take more steps, and then I'm able to want to work on my healing more and have more insight and ability to work on my healing. So steps 2 and 3 are fluid, and this is a never-ending process, And for you, it might just be important for you to pinpoint one piece of your life that you're working on and one aspect of your life worth living. Or it might be helpful to have a general overall image of your life worth living and work towards that. So play around with it and see what works for you. So once you have already gotten clear and started working on removing blocks and building that self-belief, that's when you can work on the last step, which is taking action. And this is the last step because you have to get yourself to a certain foundation point first, often, before you can take any more action forward. And you don't have to be completely healed and whole and believing in yourself before you take action, because we always are working on something, and then we would probably never take action. And also, you're always capable of what you want. You just have to believe in yourself. There have been so many times in my life when I'm talking to someone and they're telling me about their dream, and I believe in it so deeply for them, and I see it for them and I want it for them, and I'm like, you can do it, just take action. And they either downplay that right away, or they continue to attempt to take action but never follow through. And this is because they don't yet have that self-belief, or they haven't removed those obstacles and blocks in the way of them moving forward with this goal. Because our fear can really get in the way of our intuition. And it's important to know the difference between your fear and your intuition. Your intuition won't create stories or fears to hold you back. If you start to notice the thoughts in your head telling you lies that aren't true and creating stories that aren't facts, that's probably fear. So ask yourself, is this thought fact or is it fiction? And that can help you know if it's fear or intuition. Similarly, you can ask yourself, are these thoughts and beliefs kind or are they cruel? Your intuition is a loving, supportive, and compassionate voice. It is always rooting for you, and it always wants the best for you. It will not bully you or push you down. So if your thoughts are bullying you into believing that you aren't worthy or you're not good enough or you can't do these things because of X, Y, and Z, and it makes you feel bad about yourself, that is not your intuition. Your intuition, if it's telling you not to do something, it's because this isn't meant for you, or it's just a no. It won't make you feel bad about yourself. And you can also ask yourself, are these thoughts bringing me peace, or are they bringing me drama? Your intuition is grounded, calm, and confident. It does not create drama or feel overwhelming and destabilizing. If the stories in your head are creating more drama in your life, if your intuition is leading you towards more drama, that's not your intuition. So you can ask yourself, is it fact versus fiction? Is it kind versus cruel? And is it peace versus drama? And getting really clear on the difference can help you know if your thoughts are fear or if they're intuition. And once you're able to remove those blocks, then you can take action. So that's why action kind of has to come after the other two are already in motion. Once you're ready to start taking action, it could be helpful for you to make a list of action steps you want to take, or the action might just feel fluid and natural, and it might just happen for you or to you because you are ready. And that's when the magic unfolds. You want to make sure that you are establishing both big and small action steps to take, maybe having one overall vision and then smaller action steps you can take in that direction so that you're not feeling really overwhelming. I know at times my dream can feel so big and so all-encompassing, and I get really lost in that and feel really frustrated and hopeless because it feels so far away. So when I'm really able to hone in on smaller visions and smaller goals that I can take now, it feels more approachable. Because you never want to give up hope. You never want to lose faith of your vision and your life worth living, because then we're back at the beginning and you feel like you don't have a life worth living because it doesn't feel possible for you. I wanted to read a short excerpt from Man's Search for Meaning to really hone in on what we've been talking about. So he says, I remember 2 cases of would-be suicide, which bore a striking similarity to each other. Both men had talked of their intentions to commit suicide. Both used the typical argument. They had nothing more to expect from life. In both cases, it was a question of getting them to realize that life was still expecting something from them. Something in the future was expected of them. We found, in fact, that for the one it was his child whom he adored and who was waiting for him in a foreign country. For the other, it was a thing, not a person. This man was a scientist and had written a series of books which still needed to be finished. His work could not be done by anyone else, any more than another person could ever take the place of the father and his child's affections. This uniqueness and singleness which distinguishes each individual and gives a meaning to his existence has a bearing on creative work as much as it does on human love. When the impossibility of replacing a person is realized, it allows the responsibility which a man has for his existence and its continuance to appear in all its magnitude. A man who becomes conscious of the responsibility he bears toward a human being who affectionately waits for him, or to an unfinished work, will never be able to throw away his life. He knows the why for his existence, and will be able to bear almost any how. That gave me the chills when I read it, because it's so true. When we realize that we are here for our own unique purpose that no one else can fulfill, It gives us the opportunity to see ourselves and our lives in a different way and to embrace that and hold on to that and work towards that and see that as our North Star, our guiding light, and our reason for being here and continuing to choose to be here and to live our lives. Not someone else's life that we see online, not what we have been told our life should be, but the life that our intuition is telling us is meant for us deep in our core. And that's what creating the vision and getting clear on your life worth living is meant to lead you towards. So, to summarize, you want to start with asking yourself, what is your life worth living, and get clear. Find the way that works for you to get clear. Next, you want to ask yourself, what is blocking you, and find ways to remove the blocks. Next, you want to work on your belief in yourself and your vision, and really ground into that. And lastly, you want to take action. You want to decide on your action steps, small and big, and start to work towards your goals. So I really hope that you will make the space and time in your life to do this activity, to discover what your life worth living is and how to start working towards it and believing in it and believing in yourself and believing in your importance on this planet at this time, because you are magic, who you are. And I just hope that you believe in that. I hope that this podcast leaves you feeling hopeful and proud of yourself. If you would like to share a part or the whole piece of your life worth living, I would really love to hear it. You can reach out to me on Instagram or email me through my website. I think it would be really powerful for us to share our life worth livings. It makes it more real. It makes us own it more and believe in it more. So put it out there and be proud of it and share it, or if you're scared to, write it down, talk about it, make it real, bring it into reality, and know that it's coming for you. I already believe in it and your ability to achieve it. And I mean that so wholeheartedly. I don't have to know what it is. All I know is that if your intuition is telling you that that's what's meant for you, I believe in it. And I know that you are meant to achieve it. And we just have to believe in ourselves in the same way. So, okay. Thank you for being here, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Intuitively Wild, the podcast. I hope it helped deepen your connection to yourself, sparked some insights, and inspired you to live intuitively wild. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean so much to me if you would share it with others and leave a rating and review. And please reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. I will see you next time for more magic.